This podcast is sponsored by the Fargo-Moorhead West Fargo Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber is a catalyst for growth and prosperity and is here to protect and promote business, inspire innovation, cultivate communities, and influence action. Learn more at fmwfchamber.com.
Hey there, everyone. This is Thomas Evanella, back with another episode of the In-Forum Business Beat podcast. We'll catch you up on the week that was in business news, and for all you beer drinkers out there, we'll have John Peterson of Mainline Hops joining the show. Let's get things started. A local business owner will soon be competing on an entrepreneurial docuseries. Kelsey Rasco is the owner of Dash and White. She was on social media one morning when she spotted an advertisement for The Blocks, a show tailored to small business owners. She quickly progressed through the application process, earning an invitation onto the show. Rasco will compete in a series of challenges, exercises, and pitches throughout the competition. The contestant with the most points at the end of the show will win. The stakes? Just an angel investment in their business. The show is expected to begin streaming at the end of 2022 or in early 2023. For the full story, visit inforum.com. A halal meat processing facility proposed for Glendon, Minnesota cleared an initial hurdle Tuesday night. The Clay County Planning Commission voted to grant a conditional use permit for the facility. As the name suggests, the permit lays out a variety of conditions that the facility must meet, otherwise the permit will become invalidated. Once open, the facility would process sheep and goat meat with between 40 and 50 animals living on the site at a time. It will be owned by Keena Croying, who was one of the founders of the Lotus Blossom grocery store in Fargo. The facility would provide meat to local ethnic grocery stores and restaurants, most of which are currently relying on frozen meat shipped from overseas. For more, read my story online and check back next week for an update on the plant. Downtown Fargo has itself a new gem with the Salt Hill Gallery now open inside the RDO building. Overlooking Broadway Square, the Salt Hill Gallery offers jewelry, art, and antiques. Products on hand are a collection from a core group of artists, including handmade earrings, necklaces, and even what owner Taylor Mertz refers to as estate pieces, like bow ties made with real feathers. It's all put together in a bright, modern setting on the building's ground level. Salt Hill Gallery is open from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Tuesday through Friday, and 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday. It's closed on Sunday and Monday. In another piece of downtown Fargo shopping news, a new thrift store has opened up along Broadway. Lauren Schneider, a recent NDSU graduate, opened the Gatherings Collective at 12 Broadway back in July. Her store is focused on both style and sustainability, carrying a hand-curated selection of men's and women's clothing, as well as a smaller selection of new and antique home goods and accessories. One of Schneider's goals is to promote eco-friendly shopping, which she accomplishes by taking older pieces and styling them for modern tastes. Visit Gatherings Collective from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. Well, as I alluded to earlier, craft beer lovers were no doubt happy to read Tammy Swift's recent story about Mainline Hops, a hops farm out of Sabin, Minnesota that's supplying local breweries. Chatting with us today about his farm is Mainline Hops co-owner John Peterson. John, thanks for being here with us.
Hey, thanks a lot, Thomas. Good to be here.
And just to get things started, no better place to start in my opinion, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a pharmacist, actually. Graduated from North Dakota State and got into clinical research as a pharmacist and grew up on a family farm out by Sabin, and been in the area ever since, and can't say that I've found a better place to live than this area.
Glad to hear that. And tell us then how you got into hops farming. It's an unusual crop of choice for this area, I would have to say.
Yes. Well, my aunt and uncle live out in Washington State, just south of the hotbed of the hops area of the U.S., up in the Yakima Valley. And I always thought it was kind of neat to see these plants that are 16, 18 feet high in the air on a trellis. And, I just thought it was cool and knew that the hops were used for beer, but I was, much younger age. And then about 2013, the company that I worked for 17 years closed, Prax Institute. And I had some free time and there was a Minnesota Hop Growers Association meeting down in southern Minnesota. And this was about the time that a lot of breweries were starting to pop up, especially in the Minneapolis area. And I think this is about the time that Fargo Brewing came on board. And then Drecker, I would say, was probably the second one. And then, of course, Junkyard Brewing here in Moorhead. But it was like, I was like, I could probably do something like this on a small scale. Many of those that were there were probably 20 years older than me. And I'm sure they had deep pockets, and they're like talking, oh, we're going to put an acre in, we're going to put 5 acres in. And I was like, well, I think I'll just start with a few plants and see how it goes. And from 2013 until we dug ground in 2015, and then planted in 2016. 2016 is when we planted our first plants. And it takes about 3 years for the plants themselves to become fully grown. And after 2016, we've been going, strong ever since and learning almost every day.
And to those of us who are unfamiliar, and that would be myself included, explain to us what hops are like and what it's like to grow hops.
The hop plant is actually grows wild in the Red River Valley along the river, and they have plants all the way up to Winnipeg. And some of the early strains of hops that are used out on the West Coast, some of the characteristics, the traits are found in some of the wild hops that were found in the Red River Valley. And basically, it's just it's a rhizome. It's a perennial, comes up every year. It is very hardy. Some of the harshest winters we've had over the last couple of years, every single plant comes back, and you don't have to do anything special with covering them. You just cut them down to the ground, and basically they start coming back up in the spring whenever the snow decides to melt. They are a vigorous growing plant. They like sunshine and water. They can grow at times up to a foot a day. Wow. And basically you have to train them around a core twine, which is made out of coconut husks, and they follow the sun. So you have to go around clockwise with the rope. So every morning you plant these rows north and south, and in the morning they catch the sun in the east, and they follow the sun all the way over to the west, and then they catch the sun again when the sun comes up early in the morning on the east again. We try to get to the 18-foot mark. Some hops grow up to a 16-foot trellis. I mean, they can grow 20, 30 feet, but you don't necessarily want to grow them that high. And we want to get to the top of the trellis cable about the first day of summer, because that's the most daylight. And they just love sunshine and water, and you keep them happy that way, and you get pretty good results.
So would you say Minnesota is a good place to grow hops then? I feel like we think hops and we always think, like you said, Washington or Oregon in that area.
No.
So it's a challenge.
Yeah, it is a challenge. I enjoy it. I'm no mistake about it. But the challenges that we have compared to the Pacific Northwest on the east side of the Cascades, we have more humidity. It is colder at night, and we don't get as hot. So out in Washington State, Oregon, Idaho, they have less humidity, higher temperatures at night, less wind on the east side. That is one thing that I was not told at the seminar, is to worry about the wind. And we have made modifications to our trellis system. So when we have a south wind, which we are not protected from out here on the farm, we're able to put down some wind shades, which doesn't make the wind totally go away, but it certainly helps, because when these hops are fully grown, they can be, 5 to 10 pounds. And when they catch the wind, it's like a sail. I mean, and they're resilient. I mean, we'll have a 70-mile-an-hour wind come through in a thunderstorm, And yeah, they might be a little whipped up, but they still keep on growing. They're back to normal in a couple days and still resilient.
And like I mentioned when we got started here, you are the co-owner of Mainline Hops. That means there's another face around the hops farm, and that's Art Weidner. Tell us a little bit about him and what he's been able to bring to the table.
Yeah, Art, him and I knew each other in college, and he's got an engineering background. And I will be honest, I'm not the most handy person, but I am able to figure things out. So I figured that he would be the mechanical, I can build that kind of thing. I can assist, but my role is more of the farmer. If I see, some kind of disease or something like that, I'll take care of that. But if we need something built or, some idea brought up, certainly Art is the one that kind of has the mindset of creating or building some kind of modification to help us out. And he's a great resource, and he's really good to have as a co-owner.
And obviously, when we're thinking hops, we're thinking the end product, which is beer. So tell us about how you've been involved with some of the local breweries or how you've been getting your hops to market.
Yeah, so we planted in 2016, and we didn't have our first, actually, that first year in 2016, we ended up harvesting 6 cones. So obviously, you can't do much with 6 cones.
Not a big yield, huh?
No, not expected either. But by 2018, we had our first commercial crop. So, it was a year early, but still we had enough where we could pelletize them. And we get them pelletized locally up in Carrington, North Dakota at Ostley's Sunnyside Acres, which do a fantastic job. And then that first commercial crop in 2018, we did our first collaboration, I guess, with Junkyard in 2019. And they used both our Cascades and Nuggets and came up with a mainline collaboration. It was kind of a pale ale. And it was delicious. They did an excellent job with that. And then 2019, we had our second commercial crop. And then COVID hit in 2020, kind of mixed things up. And then we were able to collaborate with Revelation Brewing up in Halstead that also collaborated with Drastic Measures in Wadena. So that was our second brew. We've always wanted to have like a wet hop. And before this, we were hand picking. It would take us 20 days to do the entire crop. And we bought a hops harvester out of Lidgerwood. A farmer down there was getting out of raising hops. And now we can do the entire harvest in like 4 hours. So we were able to this year collaborate with Swing Barrel, who we picked the hops in 2 hours, the Cascades, and we trucked the 44 pounds of fresh hops up to Swing Barrel, and within minutes they put it into the boil, and just like that, the crop was already used. It's a great thing that local breweries can have with us being around. Most wet hop concoctions are only found out, on the western side of the United States, or Michigan is another hotbed too. But we're just really proud about being able to collaborate with Swing Barrel to have a wet hop brew that will be coming up here in a couple weeks.
And that's got to be really gratifying as a business owner as well to see your product. And like you said, you drive it up to Moorhead and within minutes it's already being used. And then there's a very tangible end product, and that's the can or the bottle of beer. That has to be satisfying.
Oh, yes. You learn how many friends you have when you say, hey, we got our hops into a brew. And then they go, oh, where can I find it? We're cost competitive with whatever else is out there. It's tax free because we're the farmers selling directly to the brewer, and we don't charge shipping. I mean, it's like we just drive it to wherever they need it, and that's our competitive edge. And we do all of our same practices We probably use less chemicals. We use more nutrients. We allow the plant to work themselves. And, the brewers can come out, they can drive out to our yard and, actually see the plants and see what we do. And yeah, it is more than gratifying to say, hey, this is a local. I mean, people like local. And we do most of our business locally too. Anything that we need, we try to get it local. And yeah, I mean, the beer sells itself if they make it good. It has to be good first. But when they say, oh, hey, it's local, some reason it tastes better, I don't know.
And like you said, all of a sudden you have tons of friends the moment you tell them that.
Yeah, I mean, every year they're like, hey, where's your beer going to be this year? And it's like, northwestern Minnesota is kind of our area. Moorhead, Minnesota, of course, is going to be our first stop. If we decide to expand, a little bit, maybe, some of the Fargo places will be more interested. They're a little bit bigger, so they've always been great to talk to. All the local breweries have always been great to talk to, and sometimes it's just that they want to be consistent with what they're getting, and we're hoping to provide that.
And I know this is a smaller operation that you have compared to, like you said, some of the deep-pocketed big boys, but tell us, is this do you see this as a hobby, or is this now a full-fledged business for you?
I'm not going to quit my day job, which is working remotely as a clinical research pharmacist. But they've kind of figured out that if you're able to get up to 5 acres, it is more of a business. We treat it as a business, but also it is kind of a hobby, because it is a sanctuary where I don't necessarily answer my phone when I'm out, working. That's what my co-owner Art said too. It's like he lives in West Fargo. He loves coming out here because it's so nice and quiet, peaceful. He'll bring his dog out and let it, roam around the farmstead.
And one last question for you here,
Sure.
John, and that's, what do you see as the future of Mainline Hops? Where do you want to go from here?
I think, if we're able to expand just a little bit, I wouldn't mind getting up to an acre, and 1 acre is about 1,000 plants. We have 104 right now, and the amount that we're producing is off the charts. We just had our biggest crop of nuggets that we just harvested, and I mean, they're basically growing on their own. I mean, I didn't have to add any nitrogen this year. Not that I tried not to, but it just with how busy I am with other things, I just wasn't able to get the nitrogen on in time. But I really would love to grow barley. We do have land out here. My dad has land. I hear about, the big boys, Surly or Summit. They say, oh yeah, our cousins in North Dakota, they plant, the barley in North Dakota, and we use the malt. Well, wouldn't it be awesome if we were able to use the barley grown in Clay County and the malt and the hops all in one place in Clay County? And I think that's the ultimate goal. That how more local can you get?
I don't think you can.
No. So that, we grew barley before, and I know how to grow it. Just need the acreage to do it, and the yes from local brewery that says, yeah, let's do that.
And once again, that was John Peterson, the co-owner of Mainline Hops. You can check out Tammy Swift's full story out now on inforum.com/business. And John, once again, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Well, thank you very much, Thomas, and also thank you to Tammy for doing that article, and also Chris for doing some great pictures. So appreciate it.
That's going to do it for the Inforum Business Beat podcast. This has been your host, Thomas Evanella. Check back again next week for another episode. In the meantime, stay on inforum.com/business for everything you need to know.
Inforum is proud to be a part of the Trust Project. To learn more about our ideals and commitment to trustworthy journalism, go to inforum.com/policies and standards.